Hello, good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, wherever you might be around the world. Today, I have a special guest that's going to be joining us. In fact, he's just coming in right now, uh, and we'll take some time to introduce him, but I'm grateful to have him on the show today to share with him an incredible invention which he has put together. In fact, his name is Matthew Hazen. I'm inspired by what you are doing and impressed with your tenacity and with your faith and patience in pursuing a solution to pollutions for all of humanity. So, why don't you just tell me a little bit about you and what you've been up to in the last year or so?
Yeah. So I'm just a very curious man. And my whole life, whatever I was told, I questioned. And it's kind of been a long, winding path. And so I would say about 4 years ago, when my son was being born, and I have many older kids, but I thought to myself that I was real abreast and up to date with all the different suppressed healing modalities and different ways of dietary habits and lifestyle practices and whatnot. And I didn't see anybody that had that answer, right? It looked like everybody was um, it looked like our whole population was going down the tubes. And I, I thought that if I thought someone's got to do this, someone's got to actually put in this time and effort in this research and everything else that to start culminating a real solution to the real problems that the rest of humanity wasn't really understanding, but we something had to be done. And so that kind of spearheaded everything I did. And so about a year and a half ago, I uh, knew I was going to make a formula. At least I was going to give a go at it, and started waking up in the middle of the night, meditating on it, and started putting together some ideas about what type of chelators or binders and companion things that could go along with it that uh, might be able to make the difference, right? And so it I quickly found myself with my cohort, a gentleman named Matthew Senna, a young gentleman that would fearlessly go and research any crazy notion that I had. And I had nano equipment, such as like ultrasonicating homogenizers, sitting with me and going day and night with my around my family and my pets going crazy with the sonicating gamma rays, and quickly uh, realized I was in over my head. And from there, type started reaching out to nano labs and people who could maybe help me with some guidance. And step by step, kind of ran into the right people at the right time, and
Hmm.
people who had been jaded and pretty scorned and pretty taken over by the reality of what our world was in terms of our health, the pollution, and everything that was going on. And it just kind of became a group effort. And, I represent a lot of people and a lot of countless hours at this point. And it's kind of really neat because uh, absolute experts like yourself who have the equipment and technology and the experience to be able to look at things for what they are and discern actual truth from myth. Uh, you know, Now we're here.
Hmm. Exactly. So what would you say your number one or two motivating factors? I mean, what was kind of putting off the alarm bells on, you know, in your mind, and what you were seeing going on that really motivated you to try to find a solution to pollutions? I guess a lot of folks are calling them forever chemicals, meaning that once you're exposed to them, it seems like they become your friends for life. Actually, maybe your foes for life would be a better word. So what spurred you on to, you know, to start developing, uh, some sort of nanocolloidal technology? What was the motivation there? I mean, were you inspired by some article, or did you see something coming down the pipeline that was horrific? Or you know, tell.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's exactly kind of what happened. I firmly believed that nature and the way that nature works and the ecosystem, if you want to call it that, and the environment, that the answers were in there and hidden and needed to be looked at, broad macrocosm, microcosm. And at the same time, I knew that the answer had to be somewhere there. But I
Mhm.
also seen some amazing experts and um, of all different types that whether they were like fruitarian or breatharians or workout fanatics or allopathic this or that, and also alternative medicine this or that. I looked at everybody and I looked at all those different paths that people could go down to try to search and find health and well-being and a holistic kind of thriving way of getting to live, and nobody had their finger on the pulse, so to speak. I didn't see anybody that had that answer. And so where you would see these people who had all the will to and motivation to um, make themselves the healthiest they could be in all ways, and everyone across the board seemed to be rapidly declining their health. And so I knew there was some kind of shift there, but I also, more importantly, knew the answer wasn't there. And so that was kind of the seed that planted in me. And I I I have older kids, I have younger kids, I have four older sons. Well, I have four sons, and then when my daughter was on the way, I someone there had to be a solution created, and if not me, then who? And so that kind of uh, what led me. And and
Inspired
I
you,
had a
yeah.
life. Yeah, yeah, totally. I had a life that I was kind of. I didn't have any bills. I didn't. I had a nice little property, and so I had the energy and time to put into it. And I thought, well, this kind of feels right. And so I went for the gusto, and I went all in. It's kind of become what it is now.
Cool. So to make a very long story short, uh, you ended up starting a company. You ended up developing a product, a nanocolloidal product that uh, was very, very timely. And in fact, I have to admit, I'm somewhat surprised. But when but then again, I'm not, because when you're not confused by a lot of the noise and a lot of the scientism around what is being taught, you know, at our school system, our universities, and our graduate schools, uh, it's really hard for people to shift their minds away from the narrative. And the narrative has been germs cause disease. And there's been a fear associated with that, and especially something as small as a so-called virus. And we've had several, you know, let's say times where the science of virology and viruses were promulgated that showed out to be not a solution to the pollution. In fact, the word virus in Latin means poison, so it kind of fits into you know what you're doing and what I've been working on and researching for the last 40 years is evidence of a purified isolation of a so-called germ, a virus that is actually doing harm to the body. And I've come up empty-handed. It just isn't there. And I found other scientists somewhat frustrated with that whole thing. The theory is there, but I've often said the viral theory is a concept that only exists on a piece of paper. When I say that, I mean it's a theory, but it has never been proven, and it's always bothered me very much because it leads to treatments which may be not only excessive or maybe highly toxic. And this is what now the research is coming out, and many around the world, many scientists around the world are stating that the treatments are more toxic than just allowing nature to build natural immunity. So I was very, very curious about when I learned about your invention, your nano invention, because I've been involved in colloidal chemistry for many, many years, over three decades. And so I was very, very interested in the size of the particulates. I was very interested in the mechanism that you were doing. And I've had looked at some of the colloidal elements that are being used. And one of those, I just haven't been able to wrap my mind around whether or not it was safe or effective. And I know you've heard those words before, safe and effective. But when I say safe and effective, safe in the relationship that it's not going to cause any environmental disturbance that could harm the structures and the functionality of a cell. Effective meaning that it would help to maintain the alkaline design of the body fluids in order to maintain that integrity, cellular integrity and functionality. And so I heard about this product, and in fact, I think it's a beautiful name, and it really represents, after looking at this using several different forms of microscopy, the structure of this. And in testing, the actual material for its zeta potential, learning that this structure, which is hexagonal structure, very similar to some of the nanotechnology that's being placed in some of our water, air, food, nutraceuticals, pharmaceuticals, et cetera, could be the solution to that particular metal. And I know that we're concerned and have been concerned, many people, about aluminum oxide, and now the talk around titanium oxide, titanium dioxide seems to be in everything, like toothpaste, bubble gum, things that you're wondering why it's even there. you're wondering why they put this stuff in there. But we know it's cytotoxic and can affect the organization or genetic organization of the cell, and can affect in many ways cause it to die, to break down. So when I came across your product, you know, I think it's appropriately named. I don't know where you came up with it. I mean, you have to tell me that. The product is called MasterPeace. And I don't know if you intentionally called it MasterPeace because you felt it like it was a masterpiece or had the potential of being a masterpiece, or you didn't even know at the time when you called it MasterPeace other than just being inspired. But I don't want to put words in your mouth. I guess I'm doing that. But why did you name this product that you developed, that you invented, this nano colloidal, product with a great carrying agent? I mean, marine plasma at a pH of 8.8, perfect. I mean, interstitial fluid is 8.4. It could always use a little extra alkalinity because, the blood's always dumping into it. The cells are always dumping it. A lot of people don't realize that cells, when they use electrical energy, they dump their waste into the body ocean. It's called the interstitium, or the interstitial fluid that surrounds all these cells. And the blood does this, the cells do this. And, you know, I don't know if the interstitium, which is the largest organ of the human body, actually feels put upon by the fact they're always getting dumped on. And who likes to get dumped on? But they have to deal with it. They have to deal with the waste of the blood, the waste of the body cells. So I was very intrigued with this nanotechnology. For those who don't know that are listening, nanotechnology is small enough that it can pass through any barrier. Okay, so you've heard about the reproductive barriers, the blood-brain barrier. Nanotechnology goes right through with it, and that's why you better know what you're doing if you put nanotech into your body, because it may go places that you don't want it to go and do things you don't want it to do. And I think that's why we're seeing all the, excess mortality, increase in turbo cancers and diabetes, et cetera, et cetera. Uh, Myocarditis, pericarditis. We're putting nanotechnology in the body, not knowing, what the effective is and whether or not it's even safe or effective. I mean, safe for who? Effective for what? Effective for destroying the cell? You know, safe for the planet? Wait a minute. What about humanity? What's safe for humanity? And so those are the questions that really I'm concerned. And so anyway, getting back to this liquid colloidal context of marine plasma colloidalized with zeolite in nano size, one nano meter or less. Uh, I mean, did that just come to you in a dream or something?
You know, I I knew that I do a lot of meditating, and I'm not really into like woo woo stuff per se at all, but I do like to ponder as deeply as possible on the smallest level of things. And I knew that there was this new level of poisoning that was happening. And I was very aware of like the terrain model of health over the germ theory and whatnot. So with there being what I knew was a new intercellular or intracellular level of toxicity. And I knew that, I knew there needed to be created something that did no harm to healthy cells. So healthy cells have a negative charge on the outside. So I knew that we had to have something that had a slightly negative charge, which means it kind of looked like a healthy cell or particle in a body, and that it would bond and interact with the unhealthy stuff only, right? Do no harm is always a good pretense to kind of move ahead with things. And so
Mm.
with that, I knew that if we could sneakily kind of covertly introduce something in the body that was extremely healthy and favorable to the healthiest of environments per se, that we would have something that could work underneath cloak and dagger and offer up a cation exchange or and inside the cell of damaged cells. Cells don't really die. I know that a lot of people think that our bodies make new cells over a period of time, but really it's not. From my understanding, it's really more of like an adaptation or transformation. And so, you can't run away from a problem. An unhealthy or uh, cell is not just going to eventually die off and then we don't have to worry about it. It's kind of like a unhealthy cell needs to be dealt with. We can't run away from our problems with anything in life, right? So I had realized that, and really quickly, everything I was looking at hadn't been pondered, or at least I didn't see any supplements that was looking at this line of thinking. So I was feeling like I'm probably on the right path.
Yeah, like
So
nano to nano rather than you
yeah,
know,
yes,
you know
absolutely.
rather
So
millimicron to millimicron rather than micron to micron. So you're talking about sizes that are
intracellular and
significantly
interstitial.
small enough.
Yeah,
Uh, in
yes,
other words, bigger wasn't better, but less was more and more is less. And dealing
yes,
with the environment in order to protect the cell was something that I've been talking about for many, many years, that the cell is only as healthy as its environment. And if you have charged particles that are negative, of course, they're not going to go into the cell. But if you have positive nanocharged cells that are going to attract to the cell membrane, disturb the functionality of that, or provide an environment that's not conducive for a normal functioning cell, and that's going to alter, in other words, or cause the cell to adapt to this technology that had been introduced over several decades through various transfectors, such as chemtrails, such as air, water, food, pharmaceuticals, nutraceuticals. And it's
totally.
what inspired me when, very uncommon when a pharmaceutical company releases a drug without a completed white sheet. What's in it? And that was the big question that many scientists around the world were asking. What's in this? And so I think what was important that preceded and what makes your invention so significant is the fact that there was nanotechnology that we were able to see using scanning transmission electron microscopy, using dispersive energy spectroscopy, using compound microscopes, doing identification of, to be able to see this both in the vial, you know, that contained this liquid that looked clear, but you can't see nanotechnology. It's too small. You can see its aggregations, and that was evident because, uh, you know, I'll just change my screen here just to give you an example, so you can see that from a beautiful background of a forest and the greenery that's quite significant here. Let's see if I can just share this with you. 1 second here.
What's funny, we have actually done crystallography uh, work, which is Veda Austin's work out of New Zealand. And one of the four different things that came out of that, out of looking at MasterPeace underneath the crystallography, was wintergreen trees, which means change. And we had a heart, which was love, and ascension ladder steps in there as well.
Mm-hmm.
Go ahead. So yeah, it's funny that you have winter, trees behind you.
So looking at this technology, you first have to understand what normal blood looks like. It's round and symmetrical, even in color, even in shape. When this technology was introduced into a vaccination program, things changed. And with the nanotechnology and its ability to self-assemble, could create threads, could create ribbons, could create clusters. Here's an example of what I'm talking about. This is a cluster of graphene oxide, and look what it's doing to the blood. It's taking it from normal into pathological blood coagulation. Now, the symptoms that one would experience from that would be low energy. See if these sound familiar. Low energy, lightheadedness, dizziness, muddled thinking, forgetfulness, cold hands, cold feet. You see, and the body trying to get rid of it would induce a fever. So, fever, dry cough. These are the things that happen when we see these larger organizations. But they react to electromagnetic fields. And we can see this cluster of graphene oxide, which is cytotoxic, genotoxic, and magneticotoxic. We can see the fibers coming off this cluster, and it becomes highly electrical. It starts out as quantum dots. Show you what those look like here. As my screen is changing, but it can organize itself into threads which act as antenna. So this material can be a receiver, a transmitter. It's highly receptive to that because of its negative charge. And these are just many of the pictures. And what a lot of people don't realize, that when it's attracting energy from others or from other sources, that field can go from, let's say, your exposure to megahertz to gigahertz. It can take it up to terahertz. So it compounds the problem, it amplifies the problem. And this is when, looking under an electron microscope, you can actually see then the activation when cells lose their ability to repel themselves. They start clustering. And this clustering can form clots. And that's what this is. This is a microclot seen, using electron microscopy and seeing the proteins, the fiber monomers cross-link. And here again, these are damaged cells. The body needs to remove those. And it's activated by the graphene oxide, which carries a positive charge, so it attracts to that cell. So it's very important to realize that when this happens, this can lead to some serious challenges. And when cells start to alter, this is when they start giving birth. Another electron microscopy picture that has been colorized. They start giving birth to new forms. So germs are not necessarily from the air that we breathe. I mean, you can breathe in the artifacts that have gone airborne from other animal, plant, or human sources. This is biological transformation as cells literally change their functionality and start giving birth to these particular forms we call bacteria or yeast or even mold. It's kind of like your refrigerator. When you put food in there and it stays there, it goes through a transformation, and out of that transformation, food that you ignore, that you don't use, starts showing up back with bacteria, yeast, and mold. And that's coming right out from the material. What happens when this technology shows up and affects the human cell? One of the symptomologies using scanning electron microscopy is these spikes coming off the cells, spike proteins. This is coming right out of the membrane of the cell. It's not an infection. Here's a new word for you. It's a outfection. Cells break down from the inside out, not from the outside in. And if you're dealing with something that's small enough that can pass into the cell itself, that can alter its functionality, disturb it to a point where it starts going through a disorganization, a change. And that change can go from here to here. So these are the four initially in the spring of 2021, I was able to evaluate and find this technology inside all of these so-called safe and effective vaccines. And I published this, eventually got it published in 2022. And it's the article is called Scanning and Transmission Electron Microscopy in the Identification of the Non-Disclosed Ingredients. Because that white sheet that's included in the box where the vials are contained should display all of the ingredients that are contained within that. So now it seems that this has become a huge problem, and I'm finding these clusters in larger forms, such as I showed you, the threads, and here's a graphene thread, and the clusters, even two-dimensional, even graphinated parasites, Trypanosoma cruzi parasites. So this is a we see, you can actually see the energy coming off this this
It's getting
graphene
its
thread.
energy either from the body or from the ether, or it's obviously that's where it's getting the force.
It derives its
energy.
it derives most of its energy from the cells themselves.
Right.
Just like our body cells run on light energy. So this creates a huge problem. And when cells lose their light or lose their fluid, they become crystallized. So these are red, overlarge, they're called macrocytes. They're red blood cells that have been crystallized, literally crystallized from acidic waste products, from the process of cellular breakdown. They really have no life other than now they're in a crystalline form, provide no function at all for normal, what a normal blood cell, red blood cell, would actually perform: receiving oxygen, delivering it to cells, picking up, metabolic waste, lactic acid, citric, carbon dioxide, and taking that out of the body. That functionality has significantly changed. So these are some of the things that we see then under the microscope. Under the microscope, when we're looking at this, particularly those who have symptomology. And the other element, which I know that you know about, is ferric oxide. Here we see this in the blood: graphene oxide, ferric oxide. So these forever chemicals, these forever metals, when they get into your body, they can literally cause havoc to normal functionality. And this is what is, I believe, leading to this. So getting back to what you were doing and what you've been doing over the last, I guess, what has it been? A year and a half, 2 years?
Year and a half, yeah.
Yeah, year and a half. You developed a product uh, that is the antidote to this nanocolloidal acidic, thief. I mean, it literally steals life force energy. It causes a lot of the havoc that's being going on, because of its zeta potential is positive. It's positive. And so the antithesis to this technology, graphene oxide, titanium dioxide, aluminum oxide. And I know in the work that Caroline, one of your associates, did over in UK with 3 specimens, 3 subjects, clients, showed significant results, which are quite impressive in relationship to using this nanotechnology to reduce the toxic load from very high to levels which are tolerable. Of course, the level you want is 0. So go ahead and just share a little bit on this MasterPeace nanotechnology that carries a zeta potential that's negative, that supports the alkaline design of the body fluids, and is attracted like a magnet to its opposite polarity, which is positively charged nanocolloidal particulates of graphene, of aluminum, of titanium, copper oxide, whatever the particulate is, it will attract to that. And just for those who are listening, my conclusion from this is that it nullifies, doesn't destroy the material, it nullifies it and basically neuters it.
The body is an electromagnetic being, and the magnetic charge of anything that you're introducing into it has a major play on how things interact and work. And so zeolite is a natural mineral that is known to be able to bind and chelate with all types of toxins, whether it's microplastics or graphene or any of that. So we knew we wanted to keep the zeolite as part of the formulation, but when we knew zeolite was going to be interacting with all these nefarious and negative things in the body and grabbing onto them, we knew that we wanted to be able to offer or afford up the most broad, bioavailable, nutrient-rich substance that we could. And if you have the images together where we can kind of look at what MasterPeace looks like at the absolute smallest level. And this is a level that is many thousands of times lower than dark field microscopy, which I know is at 1600 magnification or 4000. But what we wanted to do was send in zeolite where it was interstitial but also intracellular capable, so it could get down to the smallest recesses of the body, go anywhere. We knew that these trapped forever chemicals were everywhere.
This article you can find at drrobertyoung.com. Okay, and it's the access to this article is free. There is no charge. All you have to go to drrobertyoung.com and then go to the blog. You can read about this. Uh, and the reason I was curious about this product was because I wanted to look under the microscope to see its structure. And so when we're looking at MasterPeace colloidal reduced zeolite as seen under STEM, this is what it looks like. It's hexagonal in shape and it's multidimensional.
Because the charge of each one of these zeolite particles is the same negative charge, highly negative, it tends to want to.
This is what it looks like. Here's a illustration of the multidimensional aspects
Yeah,
of this. You can see it's multi-leveled.
yeah, multi-dimensional, multi-layered, and has a strong negative charge, so it's going to have an affinity for positively charged things. For the most part, anything that's positively charged in the body, we don't want there. We want to be able to find a way to safely remove it. And so we knew zeolite, if it was given the right environment, everything to me is about a terrain or environment, the area. And so having zeolite as the kind of core was awesome, but we knew we wanted to give it the best overall environment. And so as we could research and find out, we knew, and that picture is a really big picture. So what you see is hexagonal structures that are creating hexagonal structures. And that is the zeolite, but the slathering or the coating that's on top of them is all the various ions and highly bioavailable nutrients that you would find in structured marine plasma, which really, when we're looking at trying to find the most vast, all-inclusive type of nutrients or things that a body could be offered, so that the body is a magician at actually uh, transmuting or changing or adapting, and if you offer it everything so it can pick and choose from, like with the marine plasma coating there, when those zeolite particles match up to
The graphene.
positively charged, yeah,
That
graphene,
can you
it's yes,
see this sheet of graphene?
yes,
This is
absolutely,
so you can see the two-dimensional sheet of graphene. You'll notice that it's also hexagonal.
yes, and but it has an opposite charge, and so when
But
we're
it
looking at
has
like
it,
a
so
yeah,
this has a coupling. It's kind of like putting two cars of a train together. They couple together.
yes, exactly, totally, yes, but
Yeah.
then when they do that, now because of the charge changing, all of those mineral ions and other nutrients displace or discharge or splash or bathe that area. And so that graphene and other forever chemicals and heavy metals and whatnot, those things the body tries to make use of, right? Because most of our bodies are unfortunately in this nutrient deficient mode, mineral deficient mode. And so they try to use these nefarious, inappropriate, unnatural things such as graphene. And so when our natural marine plasma MasterPeace formula match up to that graphene, it locks together like a key and lock. And the zeolite is
Perfect.
completely indigestible. Yeah, so the zeolite is not a digestible mineral to any living organism. And so what it does is after it makes that connection and binds to the graphene in this instance, it escorts and removes it from the body. The body releases it through perspiration, defecation, uh, urination, and it's left
Respiration.
with, yeah, yeah. And so it's left with the best of the best. And you can see it with the people who are taking this formula and what they are saying they're experiencing across the board. And then also from the test results from our medical study, but also from your analysis that we've now you've made us privy to. It's all lining up to this is a real answer, a real solution to this graphene hydrogel problem that is in all of us, it appears, from at least from live blood analysis that people are getting from all across the world at this point. Yeah.
Well, I took these STEM micrographs. STEM is an acronym for scanning transmission electron microscopy. From my report that I published in 2021 and then had it peer reviewed and published in a scientific journal, these appear there. So if you want a copy of that document, the original document, it's about 100 pages and it has hundreds of micrographs in there. I can provide that to you or anyone who requests it. All you have to do is go to drrobertyoung.com, register your email address, and I will send you this report over. But you can see the size here: 20 nanometers, 220 nanometers, 500 nanometers. This is even lower magnification at 1 nanometer. So we're talking about billions of a meter, and you can see how this can work together. Here again, the way it works is like two magnets. There's a positive side and a negative side. This positive side or surface charge of graphene oxide, of aluminum oxide, of titanium oxide dioxides. These oxides that are showing up in our water, in our foods, in our air, in our nutraceuticals, in our pharmaceuticals, in our personal care products, chewing gum. There's so many things that all of a sudden you can check things off of things I'm not going to do. You know, these are showing up. Uh, the key here is to understand opposites attract, positive and negative, and they link together. So when these two elements come together, they neutralize or deactivate their effect. It's kind of like putting two magnets together. Okay, they lock in. That's how you deactivate this stuff. So the body
Yeah.
can then remove it. And I want to emphasize that because I think it's very, very important that everyone understands this deactivation aspect. As I'm going to go back into this again, I do want to show you. So let me just go back to where I was and screen share this again. I'm going to take and expand this a little bit more because I want you to see this report here a little bit more. Um, in this article, I also added this information, which is on the terpenes of an oil that comes from the red pine needle. And from this pine needle is an oil that contains terpenes, which is excellent for removing or breaking down the protective coating of parasites, and has been very, very effective in doing so. But I want to show you the picture of MasterPeace right there. And the thing that's incredible about this, when you're dealing with nanotechnology, it's just like, I think many people are familiar with colloidal silver, and they've heard about it. It's not how much. It really comes down to size really does matter. And when we're talking about size, particularly inside our bodies, nano silver colloid is more effective because it can go across these blood barriers. They
Yes.
can go into the liver, they can go into the heart, and accelerate the healing process. And it's important to understand that these products work on an energetic level, meaning they carry a surface charge that is in opposition, to these toxic particulates that don't belong in the body, and they nullify each other. That word, when they come together, the word that you use was chelation. You've probably heard of chelation therapy. The word chelate means to grab. So what happens is there's an electromagnetic attraction, like you've got this incredible magnetic personality, and you're attracted to someone else on the macro level. Okay, here again, opposites attract. And this is what happens. And when you have particle size small enough, like nanocolloidal silver, uh, or elemental nanocolloidal copper, not copper oxide, not titanium oxide, but its elemental form that carries a surface negative charge. And that's what I found with this. So this is a very, very important thing to understand when we're looking at this. Um, and so I wanted you to be, uh, aware of this, and I think you are aware of it, aren't you? That
Yeah. Yes.
you developed a nanocolloidal system, and I don't do people really know the definition of what the word colloid means? It's
No,
taking
they
two.
don't.
Okay, I'm going to explain it simply. It's taking two dissimilar ingredients. It could be a solid or it could be a liquid. In this case, we're dealing with a solid and a liquid. The solid is zeolite, the liquid is marine plasma.
Yeah.
You know, and that's the same with the the eye juice, the eye juice pine needle oil. It can be an oil with with a compound that is in a system, but a colloidal system is taking two dissimilar ingredients and making them one, or suspended in one. Something that falls out of solution is not a colloidal system. Our blood is a colloidal system. It stays within its solution. And so size really matters, not only for going into the cell membrane, but also it matters in order to stay free and move about, in that solution without joining together with other particulates and then falling out of solution. A true colloid will not see particulates at the bottom, larger particulates. You can take a flashlight, literally shine a light into this bottle, and you can see the reflection of these little tiny particulates shining off of it. You can do that with a silver colloid. You can do it with a zeolite colloid like this. So the definition, once again, is taking two dissimilar ingredients and suspending those into that system. The system is a colloidal system of two dissimilar ingredients. In this case, It is marine plasma and zeolite. So
And
tell me about this testing. Was you took the product, and for 35 days you had 3 clients take it.
yes, absolutely. We had 3 test subjects. We were a small, brand new company, and we were as confident as we could be with the formula and what it could do, but we just didn't have this outside investor or funding to back us. And so
Hmm.
what we ended up doing is we could only have 3 test subjects, but they were 60 years old, 61 and 62.
Okay.
We wanted to do a blood test. We didn't want to get caught up in the scrutiny of provoked EDTA or DMSA urinalysis testing, and so we wanted it where it could hold up to the highest level of scrutiny since we only had 3 test subjects. And what we did was we originally tested for graphene oxide and the 4 most common forever chemicals, which is PFOs, PFAs, I believe, and PEs and PPs. And
But
we
let
took
me
their
just stop
blood.
you there.
Yeah,
Polyethylene glycol, or PEG, was one of
it's hydrogel.
the is hydrogel. It's one of the chemicals
Yes.
that we found in the vials that in fact they did, by the way, they did disclose that on the white sheet. They just disclosed the polyethylene glycol or hydrogel was part of the vaccine. And we found it.
Yeah. So, we got the lab results, and when we're dealing with these type of things that are very unnatural and very harmful to the human body, the the approved levels is obviously 0, but we everybody had uh, levels well above 0. And so at that point, we put them on the protocol that we had strategically put in place. And MasterPeace was the main part of that protocol, along with an EMF mitigation uh, device. And for 35 days, they took MasterPeace. And at the end, we used the same exact testing person, which was Carolyn Mansfield, the exact same lobotomist or phlebotomist, I can't say the words right way, and same lab to get
Phlebotomist, yeah.
our results. And
And by the way,
what we
this lab
found,
was not in the United States; it was in the
no,
United Kingdom. Okay,
yes,
and the main
outside of the
emphasis
no,
was
they're
this
outside the
was
United Kingdom.
outside the United States. The main emphasis was to determine levels of graphene oxide.
Yes, and
But you added some additional things such as the polyethylene glycol, the polypropylene, and then I made some suggestions as well. And then you added these on the after test, which was phosgene, or the precursor to that, vilinidine dichloride, as a precursor. But here again, if we look at the graphene, which was very high, 509.55 nanomoles per liter, which is a very, very high. It should be 0. Okay. And then after the graphene had dropped down to 5398 millimoles per liter, and nanomoles, excuse me, not milli, but nanomoles per liter. That is not 60%. That's a reduction that is more in line of about 80 plus percent as far as the
yes,
reduction in that. I mean,
that
that caught me, that caught my interest. I have to say it. I mean, I've never seen such an inexpensive, highly effective, easy administration to reduce, for pennies on the dollar, to reduce a forever impossible, metal to remove from the body. And I say
Because
that because generally what the body will do is it'll push it out to the connective tissue, out into the fatty tissues. And of course, that's the breast tissue and the brain and other places, but it pushes out generally away from organs that sustain life. So the FOS gene was very curious to me because of the vilinidine dichloride, which is a prohibited chemical used in World War I, and it's on the international list never to be used again. So uh, I was shocked when I saw this in clients that are across the Great Pond. I mean, what's going on? Why are they showing phosgene inside their blood? But the good news is, uh, when we didn't see the beginning here at the end, tolerable levels, keeping in mind that 0 is the only acceptable level that should show. We should not have phosgene in our blood. We should not have polyethylene glycol. We should not find polypropylene. Of course, we know a lot of that's coming from drinking water from plastic bottles.
yeah, polypropylene. Yeah, yeah. We knew that originally we wanted to test for graphene. We had spent tireless hours making inconspicuous type of phone calls to labs to actually find a lab that could test for graphene, that did test for graphene. And we were just happy that they also tested for polyethylene, which we knew was the main component of hydrogel. And we kind of wanted to start there uh, because I have to always be careful how I explain this. It certainly appears like the mainstay or the middle of the front line of what is causing humanity the largest problems with our holistic health is this graphene hydrogel
Mm-hmm.
fiasco. And so we wanted to make sure that we were hitting that nail on the head. And then also, we were fairly confident that the way this formula was designed with the zeolite and the marine plasma, that it would also take care of other things. But we wanted to really focus and narrow in on the graphene and hydrogel. That has been my focus.
Yeah. So in all three uh, clients that went through this program for 35 days, is it correct to say that they took 5 drops of the MasterPeace nanocolloidal product under their tongue twice a day? Is that a correct statement?
Let's be exact. The first test subject took liberally MasterPeace about 20 drops a day instead of 10. And she didn't take any of the powdered zeolite, which was supposed to be taken for the last 2 weeks of the 35 days. So the last 14 days, there was supposed to be supplementation.
This is client number 1 you're talking about?
Yes, sir. Yes, yes.
Okay.
So she happened to actually get the largest amount of remediation or reduction in her levels, not just of graphene and polyethylene, which came down, I believe, almost 90%, but she had the largest reduction overall. Now, the other 2 clients did religiously take 5 drops twice a day, and the last 2 weeks they did take powdered zeolite, and they got very close to what she got, but the highest level reduction was simply from the MasterPeace being taken a little bit more than what she was supposed to take.
Okay. So a control study is definitely something that's very, very important. And thank you for letting not only me know, but all of us know that these in of themselves, these results are incredible. But
Yeah,
in my world, I would say taking any particular product, liquid like this, colloidal product, less is more and more is less, and less more often is better than more uh, less often. So taking 2 drops or 3 drops 5 times, 4 times, 3 times a day, it would be, if we're talking about 10 drops a day. They took this twice. After taking 5 drops under the tongue for 35 days, they took this twice a day. Taking 2 drops or 3 drops 3 times a day can even be more effective. That's what we have found in our research. So thank you for sharing that.
that's what
If
she
you
did.
want,
No,
yeah,
that's
if you want to, did I say that in the
you,
disclosure here?
no, you're explaining it correctly as to what the first test subject did. She kept her bottle on
Mhm.
her, and as she felt like it, she would take a half a dropper full, which really is about 5 or 6 drops. And so she had periodically would take it. So she would be taking less more often. And the other ones kind of stuck to their morning night routine of 5 drops each. Yeah.
Okay. So I'll add that to this article and update it to include twice a day. I knew it was twice a day, but I noticed that I didn't put that. One of the things I did include in this article is the research that I was talking about with the uh, microscopy, both scanning, transmission, and compound microscopy work. And you can find that very simply by just clicking on this link. And this is the full article. This is an interview that I did concerning this. Of course, we found not only parasites, we also found stainless steel, which could be a manufacturing pollutant that maybe ended up in the solution of the vaccines. But millions of people have seen this around the world. And this was the identification of the problem. This was the identification of the problem. The solution, folks, and there are many solutions, some more effective than others. Montmorillonite clay is a solution to chelating safely this nanotechnology and forever chemicals. Montmorillonite clay, it's called terra firma. People should be taking that to help them. But I've never seen something as effective, other than I know that nanocolloidal products work. We introduced our silver nanocolloidal product close to 35 years ago. I'll give you an idea of how long we've been doing this. Uh, and I'm happy that somebody else is doing it, Matt. I'm happy you're doing this and not me. I love talking about it. I understand the science, understand the aspects of manufacturing and creating these types of products, and I'm really happy that you're making this product available to the world as a solution to the pollutions. And I would even add an additional word. The word is broad. This is a broad uh, product that literally is broad, not just singlet in graphing, but it's a broad spectrum. Okay,
Yeah.
to dealing
It is.
with chemical and metal toxicities inside our bodies. Everyone on this planet should have this. And I think it's admirable. And I want to point this out to you and your team who is behind this, is you're making this affordable. so everyone can have it
Yeah.
and have it. And
Yeah.
and hopefully you'll set up a foundation for those who don't have the resources to be able to help those that don't have resources. And I'm sure you have that in mind. Is there anything
Yeah.
else you can tell us about this product that you would like the world to know?
Yeah. So one thing that I'm really confident in saying is that uh, I am an expert at the science of consciousness. And a lot of us are familiar with the term like intention is everything or consciousness is everything. But I do believe like our thoughts and what we put into things in terms of our real energy and our real meaning behind it, it adds up to stuff that we probably as a collective or as our science understands, we just don't understand the totality of it yet. And so this was a formula and a product and a thing that came from one person at the beginning who could sense that the world, the mankind was at least our health and emotional well-being was going to hell in a handbasket, so to speak. And they they had the will and the time to change. And that one person quickly had two people and quickly had a small group. And now there is many of us. And the intention, the the underlying energy, the science, the formulation, however you could look at this and try to uh, talk about it, the best of what human beings are has gone into this. This is not a humanitarian project that was driven by any other means than what is right for all of us and underneath the most sacred of pretenses. So this is not a money scheme. This was purposely developed knowing that we couldn't just have an answer that was going to be for the rich and people who could afford it. It couldn't be something that was impractical where an average person trying to get protection or shielding from these microscopic, nefarious, forever chemicals and technologies that we're being bombarded with. That it couldn't be just for people who could afford it. So we made this where it's highly affordable for everybody. It's less than $1 a day, and if your health is not worth $1 a day, then I don't know, maybe there's just no saving those people. But this is something that was made for each and every one of us. And um, we have the most leading edge, most verifiable, and deservedly the most, uh, the best of the best, such as, well, start maybe at this point, starting with you, Dr. Robert Young, we have we have the very highest level people looking at this and seeing it for exactly what it is for all of us. And so the most important, the only way to actually make this thing work is for people to actually try it for themselves. And so we're at a point where that's what we want. We want you to say, hey, this, I'm the founder and CEO. I will say that this is 100% safe and effective for all, including my unborn children and anyone else's, up until the oldest, most dementia laden person. And it's highly affordable and it's very easy. If you just have a bottle and you take 5 drops, these drops are not disgusting or taste bad. They taste quite pleasant. And you take them away from food and drink so they can work their best magic. And um, what we're seeing from people's testimonials across the board, from what they claim, is their experience and what they have gotten out of taking MasterPeace. They're saying that their dream clarity and vividness has drastically improved. Their sleep quality. Uh, Many people, most people, are claiming that their sleep state is better than it's been in decades, which, that always makes it for us to have our best days, right? And so if you can have your most restfulness state and you can have your highest level of natural energies, and if you can um, be in the moment where you are tolerant of everything around you and you see the good in things, and your consciousness level, if you're into the David Hawkins level of consciousness, your attitude, your emotional state of being is better than it normally would be for no other reason, then you and anyone taking MasterPeace is improving our world. And it's got to start there. There's some things that don't belong in us and in our environment, and we can call them forever chemicals, and we can speculate on where they came from and how evil places that must have made them or whatnot. But the fact of the matter is, we got to learn how to deal with them and remove them from us first off, and then eventually to our environment. And MasterPeace is the solution for that. It was specifically designed to do that. And so, best time to begin that journey with MasterPeace was yesterday, but you only got today. And that's what I want everybody to be aware of. And thank you, Robert. Thank you, Dr. Robert Young.
Well, you're welcome. In fact, you sent me a bottle, and I've been taking it every day, and it's very simple. Just a few drops under the tongue. I like to swish it back and forth, and it is in a marine plasma solution, so there's a slight salty taste to it, but it's not offensive at all. And I'm happy to have it. Thank you so much for your time that you put into developing this product, the resources, not just time, but money resources to make this possible for the world. So the next question, Matthew, is where can I get a bottle of this? I mean, do you have a website or something? I mean, how is the best way to get on this product and start on this product?
So I I knew that it was really important to honor and respect anybody who was spending their time or effort or energy into talking or sharing what this formula was doing for people. And so it's not enough for any of us or you or anybody to just send someone the website, because if you go onto the website, you won't be able to order or look into it. And so what we do is we have what I feel for sure from at least everybody says, the best, we want to reciprocate and give back to people's energy in a fair and appropriate fashion. And so whoever told you about MasterPeace, so if this is the first time that you're hearing about it, Dr. Robert Young on the bottom of his videos can put in a link. Every single person in the world is going to spend $52.99 on a bottle. There's no sales tax. We are not a tax collecting agency. I am not a tax collector for any of this societal or civilization's creations. So you'll pay $52.99. You pay a one-time shipping fee no matter how many bottles you order. So it's a one-time shipping fee. Whether you get 1 or 10 bottles, you have the same shipping fee. And you will need to sign up. Those are actually my hands. Those are my hands. That picture was taken by my wife in our front yard. and and so yeah, I got nice cuticles, right? So we you know, um if you want to support humanity, and if you see this formula and what it's doing for people as something worthy of your energy, time, and focus to surround yourself with and help steward this out to your fellow man and human, woman. And if that's the case, then you will, when you sign up, there is no obligations. There's no catch. There's no membership fees or anything else we can look at. If you sign up and you don't use it, then that's it. That's no problem. It doesn't, there's no recourse against you. But when you sign up, which you will have to do again to order, you will be provided with an affiliate link. If you choose to share that affiliate link to someone because you see that this is a good thing, then they take that affiliate link. All of us need an affiliate link to touch or to enter into the system so that they can actually order. So there's no other way around it for you, Dr. Robert Young, or all the other experts and professionals that are coming aboard. We all have to share our affiliate link, and that's just kind of the way we all are in this together. So yeah, I would just look on video descriptions. So if this is the first time you're hearing about this amazing thing called MasterPeace, then look for a link and touch it, and it should be really easy from there.
Great. Anything else you would like to add? I'm just looking to see if there's anything else here. I think that pretty much goes through this whole discussion on learning more about this incredible product that you developed for and behalf of humanity that will help improve the quality and the quantity of life. So from my heart, thank you very much. I know that you've made tremendous amount of sacrifices, you and your wife and your family, and thank you for making those sacrifices so that more lives can be improved and saved from this nanotechnology from its opposite polarity is having such a devastating effect on so many around the world.
My dad died a little bit more than a week ago, and he had fallen prey to the doctors that he would enter into their offices, and they got him to take the jab, and his health uh, drastically, rapidly declined. And my dad was a good dad, and so I'm just one person, and we can't deny that there is things in our world that are evil. And so, what MasterPeace formula will do is counteract that at least as significantly as anything that's available right now. And so with your prestige, with your experience, with countless hours in investigation, knowledge, and certainly wisdom that you've put into it, and others, but definitely you're a forefront person on this. I know that I speak in front of and on behalf of mankind when I say thank you for doing this with us.
Well, I'm happy to support and and to be part of something that is righteous and good for all of humanity. And I'm grateful that things are going well, and I only see a brighter horizon. That's why I wanted to show you this picture. I see just this planet changing because of individuals like yourself that are making a difference in providing, a world that is inhabitable and keeping it as beautiful as it is. So keep up the great work and God bless you.
Beautiful brothers and sisters like you built the way, paved the path, and there is a large group of us that are going to keep going with it. So, yeah, it's a
Well,
great day. It's a great horizon.
until we meet again, God keep you safe.
You as well.